Everybody, if you please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll start our meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. This is the Union Township Board of Trustees regular meeting for September 9th, 2021. Our first line of business is going to be to appoint a clerk pro tem. So at this time, if it's okay, I would like to make a motion to appoint Michael Logue as our clerk pro tem for the evening. Is that okay with you, Mr. Logue?
Yeah, that's fine with me. I want to make sure I get it done correctly for us. I know Mr. Wright's done. Is that appropriate as well? I know Mr. Wright's done.
Yeah,
the
Mr.
clerk
Wright will
pro
help
tem.
keep the record, and he'll do the roll call for us.
Will he, no, is it, if I nominate Mr. Wright as clerk pro tem?
I think it has to be elected official.
Oh, okay. Well, then by all means, I'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah,
But we'll certainly assist you.
no, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Is there a second?
Second. I have a motion and a second. Roll call, Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Logue.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. Appreciate it.
Is there additional document or
No,
to go through with it?
no, just when we do our final documents, you'll have to sign as that you were the clerk.
Okay.
And Mr. Wright will continue to do the roll call.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Now, okay. All right.
Okay.
I'm tracking. Thank you.
All right. But also now let the record show that all three trustees are present. And we'll go on to our first items on the agenda tonight. The first would be approval of our minutes. The first would be the August 12th, 2021 regular meeting minutes. Gentlemen, we've had a chance to look these over. If there's no additions or corrections, I'll ask for a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next item is our August 12th, 2021 zoning meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw.
Yes.
Motion carries.
In his absence, Mr. Wright, did Mr. Campbell leave you anything for correspondence?
I do not have any correspondence in the fiscal officer's folder at this time.
Okay, thank you. Tonight there's no special presentations. We'll move on to our department reports. The first tonight will be from our Fire and Emergency Medical Service. Tonight we have the joy and presence of Assistant Chief Mark Fife filling in. So take it away.
Mr. McGraw, thank you. During the month of August, the fire department responded to 218 fire incidents, 513 emergency medical incidents. We made contact with 409 patients, transported 405 patients to area hospitals. We participated in 1,047 hours of training, participated in 18 public education details, conducted 79 life safety inspections, and conducted 15 inspections with the Clermont County Building Department. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Assistant Chief Fife?
Well, thank you for all their service. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Fife.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll move on to our police department next. Chief Scott Gaviglia.
Thank you, Mr. McGraw. For August 2021, Communications Center handled approximately 3,670 calls for service for police, fire, and EMS. On public affairs, we conducted our annual gun safety talk. We've also moved it to area churches and places that wish to have us. We conducted a talk at Summerside Methodist Church for a Cub Scout troop. We conducted 2 women's self-defense classes. We talked about the police night out that ended up being, we believe, one of our biggest events. We'll have some drone video up shortly that'll really kind of show the crowd there. We sent personalized thank you notes to all our sponsors, couldn't did it without them, and it was a good event, no cost to the township, so it all went really well. Thanks to Officer Seekbert and Lieutenant Brace. The Citizens Police Academy has begun on August 15th. We have 3 classes under their belts already. In the Patrol Division, we took 336 incident reports, investigated 120 crashes, conducted 469 traffic stops, issued 170 citations and 353 warnings, conducted 482 field interviews, made 116 criminal arrests, 90 traffic arrests, and we served 177 warrants. Investigations to date has closed 241 cases, and fuel was approximately $9,200 with 33,000 miles driven. I'd also just like to take a quick moment to go over a traffic stop we had. Some of you might have saw it on Facebook. On August 30th, acting on just a citizen tip, units stopped a suspected vehicle carrying narcotics based on probable cause. K-9 Officer Perkins and his partner Chaos showed up at the scene, indicated that there were drugs in the vehicle. We conducted a search. We see 64 grams of suspected fentanyl, 406 grams of marijuana, 274 grams of methamphetamine, which is the most I've ever seen, 163 Xanax pills, 14 grams of heroin, and approximately $1,650 in cash. This was a good stop, simply by a citizen tip, working with us. Great job. Clermont County Narcotics Unit also helped on the back end, and this is still, as you might imagine, under investigation. But it was a good stop, and it was really good to get that stuff off the streets before it was distributed.
Yeah.
That concludes my report.
Excellent work, thank you.
Amen.
Thanks, sir.
Gentlemen, any questions for Chief Gabiglia?
Just my thanks to Officer Perkins and the dog, and thank you for getting that off the street,
Thanks, sir.
keeping it away from our kids.
How much fentanyl?
Suspected fentanyl, 64 grams. It wasn't, we'll get it lab tested, but it's what the CCNU officers believed it to be.
Thank you, Chief Gaviglia.
Thank you,
Great
sir.
work.
Thanks, sir.
Amen.
All right, we'll move on now to our Service Department. Mr. Matt Taylor, Director.
Thank you, Mr. McGraw. In the Cemetery Division, from August 15th through the 31st, 7 burials were performed, generating $4,050. 7 resident graves were purchased, generating $3,850. And 7 cremation scattering gardens were purchased, generating $3,500. And 9 columbarium niches were purchased, generating $12,750. The total amount generated for the period was $27,740.40. And in the Roads Division, a total of 16 work orders were completed on 15 township roads, and 47 potholes were filled on 19 township roads. And in the Parks Division, staff provided setup and cleanup for the concerts at the Civic Center on August 14th and the 24th, and a total of 47 park shelter requests were filed and filled for the month of August, and tree maintenance was performed at the township parks. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, any questions or comments?
Just thank you once again for the fine work they do for our concerts and for all the work they do on our park system, too. Thank you, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And Mr. Taylor, the removal of 11 dead trees at Klepper Park, was that around the same time or with Duke Energy took some trees out as well? Is that correct?
A little of both.
Okay.
But yes, we took some out and they took some as well.
Okay.
So yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Taylor. Great work.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, moving along, our next report tonight is from our Planning and Zoning Department. Mr. Corey Wright, Director.
Thank you, Mr. McGraw. For the month of August, we handled 38 inspections, fielded 17 complaints. We issued, of those complaints, we had 8 warning citations, 4 15-day letters, and 1 30-day letter. Additionally, we resolved 10 violations administratively, and through the last week in August, had removed 262, had illegal signage removed. We also re-inspected 13 existing violations. With regard to permit activity, we had 32 permits for the month. It looks like everybody was racing to get their additions and their pool permits in at the end of the year, or at the end of the season. And then the rest of the permits, a couple of change of use permits and sign permits, $3,415 in permit revenue for August. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, any questions, comments?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Wright, for all you do, and your staff.
And next, we have our report from our administration, Mr. Ken Geis, Township Administrator.
Thank you. I'll be brief this evening. The Census Bureau released the 2020 census information, and Union Township has reported of 49,639 residents. That's an increase of 3,223 from the 2010 census. I intend to request a review of that because if we're at 50,000 units, we do go into a different status with the federal government, and there are some additional abilities that the police department could potentially have on the interstates as well if we reach that 50,000 unit. We have in the past requested a recalculation of that because of some of the residents that they've missed. So hopefully we'll be able to breach that 50,000 number. Fireworks are set for September 25th at the Township, so that should be a great event. It's always been wonderful when we had it in the past, and this year it should even be a little bit bigger and better. The lantern lighting is set for September 18th at Mount Moriah Cemetery. That's another great event that is really well attended, and the service department and cemetery staff do a great job. There was an article recently in the Cleveland Plain Dealer about North Olmsted Fire Department, and they were purchasing a new ambulance. The cost of the ambulance was $353,000. There are some agencies around Union Township and Clermont County that have purchased these large units. We've taken the position really with Chief Dimling and Assistant Chief Fife. We've gone to a smaller unit, in that a more versatile unit. We have had those for some time now, and really we have not noticed any significant change in the life of the vehicles. They both last about the same time. Our overall cost for an EMS unit is about $125,000 in that. So I just bring that as a point of reference to, what we do with the fire service, because the capital expenditures in that are some of the most expensive expenditures that the township makes over time. And I think it's proven out that buying the units that we buy, as well as using the purpose of buying used vehicles, fire vehicles, has really helped keep the cost of our fire operations down. We did close on the property for the car wash in Mount Carmel. We've started really bush hogging and cutting the grass there. We're going to make some improvements to that. We should demo the structure on that site soon, and I think that's a great step in the right direction. Our notes closed on last Wednesday, actually 2 weeks ago, without any issue, and we received a great rate on that. And one last thing that, we continue to get great reviews, and people say great things about the pickleball courts at Veterans Park. That continues to be a big hit, and if you go there, it looks like some people have established some leagues there, and it really was a good move by the Board of Trustees to authorize that, and so I appreciate the opportunity to do that. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much. Gentlemen, any questions or comments for Mr.
No,
Geis?
sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Geis.
Yeah, hopefully at some point we can expand them to Klepper Park as well, so that would be nice. All right, we'll move right along. Tonight we have a public hearing. This is a case 14-21-0. It's for Shrewd Investments, they're the applicant, for 1085 State Route 125. Mr. Wright, did you have some opening comments regarding this case?
I do, and I'll be very brief on this case. So we have a vacant lot here, really at the southeasterly corner of the township at Merwin 10 Mile, that was cleared and subsequently, just graded and whatnot by the applicant many, many years ago. It's really kind of sat vacant. They have an opportunity to establish in the Ohio Pike corridor a proposal to put some of the, some of those sheds for display, like a display area for sheds for sale on the parcel. And they have developed this proposal and brought this to us for that. Looking at that, the use is consistent. It's a retail type use. I would imagine that if they're successful, the sheds will, be replenished if they're bought site built, and then I'm sure that they have other models and all that they can order on that. Customer, we, looking at this, we want to look to define, really clearly define the customer parking and drive aisles. We want to work to limit any congestion and confusion on the property. We really feel strongly about not adding any additional gravel to the site, and preserving the 40-foot front yard setback. And I believe all those things can be achieved with the area present and the applicant's intended use on that. Additionally, there's a standard condition on this where they're not really proposing any signage, and as with all other overlay projects in the corridor, we recommend an upgrade to monument-style signage if one is installed. So with that, the action required is to approve, modify, or deny this request, and there are five conditions present. We just would like a more I guess we would request a more detailed site plan at the time of permitting, preservation of the 40-foot front yard setback, no additional gravel, and then the conversion to the monument signage and limitation of the retail use to this specific proposal. That concludes the report.
And the main reason for this is that the current zoning doesn't permit sales without a structure?
Well, it's split, so it's a split zone parcel, and we have multiple zoning districts on that, so, yeah, and we don't have a principal structure on the site. So this would be, we're sort of establishing temporary structures. There isn't really the buildings are the things being sold. So,
Right.
yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Mr. Wright?
Yes, as usual, the recommended modifications, is the client all right with these modifications?
Yeah, I believe the applicant is here this evening, and they get a copy of the staff report when we send it out, so.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
All right, is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak on behalf of this case? This is case 14-21-0 for 1085 State Route 125, Ohio Pike. Is there anyone who would like to speak on behalf of the case? Please come up. I'll swear you in for your comments. If you first state your name and address for the record.
My name is John Troutman. I own the property. My office address is 901 Ohio Pike, Cincinnati.
All right, if you would raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. Do you swear the information you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you. Please go ahead.
Well, the property, it is gravelled currently. The grass is overgrown, but we're not going to add any gravel. There is asphalt parking there. We do intend, there's a couple trailers out there that Corey's asked me to remove from the site. We've already notified them that we're going to remove those trailers. And that's about it. It's a vacant lot. I don't know what else you can do with a vacant lot except park more trailers. And so nobody wants to see that. So I think it's a good use. It's a company out of Dayton. They're Amish. They build a very nice product. Some of them are little farming sheds and, little cottages for growing vegetables and things like that. So it's a nice mixed use. I think they'll do real well there. Matter of fact, they sold one already, and it hasn't even been, they haven't even put one there yet. So we're real excited about it.
All right. Any questions, gentlemen?
I have none, sir.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on behalf of this case? All right. Seeing there's no other, anyone else from the public wishing to speak, we'll close the public hearing portion of this case and open the floor to the Board of Trustees. Gentlemen, any comments or questions or anything you want to bring up about this case?
So I've already asked mine, and Mr. Troutman says he's okay with the recommended modifications, and that's the only thing I was concerned about.
Okay.
Some of them are needed.
Anything else? Mr. Logan, anything you want to add?
The both of you covered it. Appreciate it, thank you.
All right. Well, gentlemen, then I'll entertain a motion then. We're being either asked to approve, modify, or deny this focus area overlay district application. This is for Shrewd Investments, case 14-21-0 for 1085 State Route 125. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that, in accordance with Section 1310 of the zoning resolution, the Board of Trustees enter into a motion to approve the case with Shrewd Investments, case number 14-21-0, with the 5 modifications as listed below.
Okay. I'll second.
Roll call. Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. Congratulations. Good luck to you.
John?
All right, that's the only public hearing tonight. We'll move on to old business. Gentlemen, was there any old business that we needed to attend to? Okay,
No.
we'll move on to new business. First item is approval of payments. We're being asked to approve the payments as prepared by Mr. Ron Campbell, our fiscal officer. If there's no discussion, I'll ask for a motion to approve payment of our bills.
So move, sir.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is approval of our monthly financial report. This is also prepared by Mr. Ron Campbell, our fiscal officer. Gentlemen, if you have no discussion or comments, I'll ask for a motion to approve our monthly financial report.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call. Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. Next, we have approval of our purchase orders. These are purchase orders that exceed $10,000. They're recommended by Mr. Ken Geis, our Township Administrator. Mr. Geis, would you please read through these first?
I will. There are a host of them because we received the second half TIF payments
Okay.
on that. So the first is to Total Quality Logistics. It's for our incentive agreement for June of 2021, $15,135.17. The next is to the Milford Board of Education, $887,127.30. West Clermont Local School District, $1,205,319.85. Great Oaks Institute, $23,837.71. Claremont Northeastern, $14,903.82. Redwood Living Incorporated, $55,347.69. Trilogy Investments LLC, $22,652.36. Villas at Waterford Glen LLC, $33,518.02. Echelon by 360 LLC, $49,533.81. The next is for the Postal Service for retail postage, $50,000. The next is to Pitney Bowes, and that's to refill our postage meter, and that's $50,000 as well. The next is for the Police Department for their fuel usage from Fleet Core Technologies at $20,000. And the last is to JP Flooring Systems for some floor improvements at EPOP Suite 110 at $17,500.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, do you have any questions or comments?
Sir, I have no questions this time.
No, thank you, Mr. Gose.
I'll ask for a motion then to approve our purchase orders as presented.
So moved, sir.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you very much. This is an annual event here, the 2021 Halloween Trick or Treat Hours. We're being asked to establish our 2021 Halloween Trick or Treat Hours in Union Township as Sunday, October 31st, between the hours of 6 PM and 8 PM. Gentlemen, is there any discussion, or can I have a motion to establish our Halloween trick or treat?
No, I think we've always established them on the 31st, and I think we should continue.
I would agree with that.
Everybody's home on Sunday evening anyway, seems like. Should be.
Yeah, it should make it easier for our parents to be there.
And the children won't have much traffic to worry about, I would think.
Yeah. I'm supportive of that as well. Same
Yes.
precedent from last year.
All right, I'll ask for a motion then.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
motion carries.
The next item comes from Mr. Campbell, our fiscal officer. It's Resolution 2021-20. It's a resolution accepting the Budget Commission amounts and rates. We're being asked to adopt this resolution, accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Gentlemen, you have any concerns or comments? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adopt this resolution.
I have none. So moved, sir. I'll adopt. Move to adopt.
Okay, we have a motion?
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
motion carries.
The next resolution is 2021-21. It's a nuisance abatement resolution. We're being asked to adopt this resolution authorizing the abatement and removal of vegetation, noxious weeds, garbage, trash, and debris pursuant to Section 505.87 of the Ohio Revised Code at the following property. The first is 520 Denmark Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio. And the second one would be 1275 Shaler Road, Batavia, Ohio. Gentlemen, you have a packet of information on both these properties, and I've personally been out to view them, and certainly something needs to be done to get these properties back in the proper shape. Is there any questions or comments for Mr. Wright or our zoning department?
I have also been out to view them, and as always, I'm appalled that people buy a piece of property for hundreds of thousands of dollars and won't take care of it. What a shame.
That's amazing.
What a shame.
And you can't just go by all the pictures either, because the
pictures
growth
are
covers
terrible.
the entire house. So certainly something needs to be done. Well, if there's no further discussion, I'll ask for a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-21.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, that takes care of our regular business for tonight, so I'll open the floor now for comments from our board members. Gentlemen, you have anything you want to mention or bring up tonight?
It's a beautiful day. It's been a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I don't have nothing else to say. Everything went well, and happy tonight. Just that people take care of their property, I wish they would.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Mr. Logue, you have anything you want to mention tonight?
I'll just touch on a couple things with the upcoming events not covering. The county commissioners, I saw, had declared September 11th being Patriot Day, and they are hosting a ceremony across from the courthouse in Batavia, 8:30 sharp, on Saturday, September 11th. So I think it'd be a great community event, and coming up on 20-year anniversary of September 11th. So just was going to share that.
Yes.
That's it. Appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you.
And that's right in downtown Batavia, right at the,
Correct.
At the courthouse.
right at the courthouse. Okay, thank you. The only couple things I was going to mention, the former Scallywag site is certainly well underway with construction there.
It is.
Swenson's drive-through restaurant, well under its way. And also, the Ross Dress for Less store is close to opening. They got their signage up, and they're hiring right now. And I also saw that Golden Corral's making a comeback.
Yes.
They're
Big
hiring
sign up.
people right now, and they've been fixing up their place. So, for all those who love the Golden Corral, it looks like it's coming back. So, just want to mention those few items. That's all I had. So, at this time, I'll open the floor now for public comments. Is there anybody here tonight who'd like to make a comment? Please come up, ma'am. You raised your hand first. It's customary, we ask you to please state your name and address for the record.
Linda Davis, 4576 English Creek Drive, Union Township. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. If you bear with me, I want to read it to make sure I don't miss any of my notes.
Proceed.
I will briefly speak about the American Rescue Plan dollars for Union Township, the need for greater transparency in our local government, and increasing development of the township. First, I will publicly thank Union Township resident Glenn Rudolph for all the work he has done to let Union Township taxpayers know about the $5.1 million windfall for the township from the rescue plan. I agree with Mr. Rudolph that there should be taxpayer input as to how this money should be used, and that it not be spent quickly and without a plan, preferably a plan that is guided by the taxpayers. As one of those taxpayers, I can say that our 2021 property taxes increased by $1,000 due to the 2 township levies and the reappraisal of our property value. As a footnote, it would have been nearly $2,500 a year increase, but I filed a complaint with the county auditor and it was sustained. I watched the video of the August Union Township Board of Trustees meeting and read the August 19th Clermont Sun. There was an article about Mr. Reynolds' presentations at both the July and August meetings in which he outlines, with much data, his reasons for requesting that trustees turn to the taxpayers for input before allocating those funds. These are wise words. In that same article, Mr. Logue said that the way to rebuild trust between government and its citizens is to show that there is a process with transparency and communication. I couldn't agree more. Mr. McGraw, in that article, you said that Mr. Reynolds' request may be of interest to all residents, but that he was the only one to bring this idea forward so far. Perhaps many of us were sleeping on the job while Mr. Reynolds was doing our work for us. You also mentioned the possibility of using part of the funds to pay off Fire Station 53 and possibly to pay for 2 used pumper trucks that were ordered. You followed this by saying that you thought you should ask for input from more community members. I hope you mean this and that you follow through on communicating this issue clearly with all residents. You also said, Mr. McGraw, that the last thing you would want to do is give money back to the community and then turn around and ask for a fire levy. I was confused by your statement since the citizens just approved a fire levy on November 3rd, 2020, and our taxes have gone up as a result. Is this a budgeting problem? My second issue, the need for more transparency in how our township operates, is predicated on the apparent lack of communication among all 3 trustees. Based on dialogue in recent meetings and public conversations, I am not confident that substantial issues are communicated with one another. If true, the result harms the citizens and the township. Leaving any trustee out of the decision-making process negates the votes of those who voted that trustee into office. This is all to say that transparency would go a long way, as Mr. Logue states, in rebuilding trust. As an example, I would like to know proportionately how much of the tax burden are homeowners carrying compared to how much the business and commercial interests are carrying. I understand that there is sometimes the need for tax incentives, but knowing what these incentives are and for how long would be beneficial information when the next levy request comes along. Complete and accurate information on all incentives should be widely shared in open communications. And last, rapid development. My husband and I have lived in Union Township for 26 years and have witnessed many changes during that time, predominantly the amount of development and congestion. I am sure that lifelong residents of Union Township have witnessed the same. Over the years, I have wondered whether there is an overarching development plan, and if not, why not? If there is a plan, does it consider livability and sustainability? Currently, the traffic congestion, excessive speeds, traffic noise, and fewer green spaces make for a less than desirable living experience. We have many two-lane roads attempting to carry heavy traffic. Building large apartment complexes without accessible public transportation will only add to the overly burdened situation. Who gains? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Could I ask you a question real quick?
Yes.
In your statement, you mentioned Mr. Reynolds. Did you mean Mr. Rudolph?
Yes, I did, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Thank you
just
for
wanted to clear that for the
clarifying that
record.
important clarification, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, someone else?
And, I mean, you were asking us to be more transparent. I thought I was being fairly transparent, and that's why Mr. Rudolph had emailed me, and I answered his email. And I also communicated information to the Clermont Sun in order to bring the discussion up and make it more public. So I'm not sure why you think there was an effort not to be transparent, but, I mean, I'm trying to make an effort, at least me personally, to answer questions and give my input on, how the money could possibly be spent.
It was more an area of interest, not just with that, but also with the three of you. Even tonight, Mr. Lowe wasn't even aware that he had this responsibility, and it would have been easy to discuss that with him ahead of time. That's a very minor example, but when you're talking a very large development, and it was obvious at a meeting that Mr. Lowe wasn't even aware of it until he got to the meeting, we're talking millions of dollars, that's a very big issue. And it just seems like all three trustees should know these issues before a vote's ever taken. Those who voted for Mr. Lowe are left out if Mr. Lowe is not considered in the process.
Okay, just for the record, there's a thing called the Sunshine Law, so we can't have a pre-discussion about what's going to happen in a meeting amongst ourselves. We should not do that, because that constitutes a meeting. So anything we're going to discuss, we have to make every effort to discuss it in the public. So tonight, with our fiscal officer not being present, who's our clerk, by law, we have to appoint a clerk pro tem, and all three trustees are aware of that situation. And, Mr. Logue, I asked him if it was okay, and he said it was okay, but there has to be somebody appointed for the meeting, so. And Mr. Logue was aware before the meeting that Mr. Campbell would not be here. It was not surprised, we were all notified earlier in the week that he could not make the meeting tonight.
These are not my issues. My issues are on more development issues.
Okay, well, you brought that up specifically, and I'm answering your question about it.
I appreciate that.
And as far as the development package that I assume you're talking about the last meeting, all of the trustees are given a packet of information regarding any kind of zoning, upcoming zoning public hearings. We all have a chance to read through it, review the plans. We all have the opportunity to call our planning and zoning department, Mr. Ryder, Mr. Geis, and if there's any questions prior to the meeting, any trustee can go ask questions and get more information on it. So, I mean, as part of it is, we get the information ahead of time, and our job is to read through it and understand what we're voting on. So it was not a surprise that we were going to be voting on various zoning cases at our last meeting.
Thank you
Okay.
for that example.
Okay.
Mr. McGraw,
Yeah.
just one aspect on that. I know you're having a discussion back and forth with the resident, but that would imply that I'm not reading the information packet and doing due diligence and work prior. The question that I had stated during that was, how long has this been in discussion moving forward up until prior to the 1 week prior? It was on a Friday that the agenda was released, or that the packets were released the week prior to the meeting. So my question was, for clarification and factual, was up until that point, as far as the discussion of how far that's moved along. And I had put questions out to the staff of news and any developments or any big developments overall in the prior 2 weeks and the prior week, 2 weeks prior to that, so that essentially right now, as we're progressing through on a month-to-month basis, I'm checking in every 2 weeks, what's the top list of items that are moving forward. That was one element that was not covered in it. So organizational structure, maybe to go ahead and include those type of large projects would be a benefit, but that was the surprise. It's not the lack of due diligence and planning prior on my part.
Yeah,
So
I didn't
just
want to
a
imply
point
that.
of-
I just trying to answer her question, because I think she had the impression you had no idea we were doing that zoning case. That wasn't the case. You were asking further questions about it, which is fair.
Correct, and I do note that there was information out in the public about it being a $50 million investment, and that was not anything that was presented in the information packet to this board. And it was already information that was public, and it seemed as if asking the developer on the spot that was the first time he's ever shared it publicly. So that's maybe just the surprise with that.
Okay. And as far as the American Rescue Plan dollars, I think we haven't made a decision on those yet, and we're going to continue to have discussions about that. And we appreciate you coming tonight to voice your opinion on it, and we appreciate further feedback from the residents. So thank you for coming tonight. There's different things that could be done with it, and I think we should look at everything that's possible before we make a decision. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak tonight? Yes, please come up. As before, we ask you state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. My name is Ralph Filardo Jr. I live at 12 Big Oak in Milford, Ohio. And I'm here tonight, and first of all, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm here to introduce myself to the board and to everyone in the public that I'm a candidate for the Clermont County Municipal Clerk of Courts in the November election. I have met a lot of you and talked to a lot of the residents around this community and around this county on the need for change. And so I just wanted to take a moment here tonight to say that once elected, I plan to continue being involved in the municipalities, improving the communication with your police departments, with the court systems, and everything that affects a person through the legal systems and through what the court system, the municipal clerk of courts has to offer. So I just wanted to introduce myself here, take time saying that in the future, once I'm elected, that this will be a regular occurrence, that just come time to time, open a great dialogue with the police department to improve the efficiency and the modernization of that office that I believe is unfortunately lacking for all your citizens in Clermont County. And, you know, you talked about efficiency and transparency and things that they've talked about here tonight. And those are certainly some key things that will be part of my campaign. So thank you all for your time, and have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks for the regular presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Villardo.
Whoever wins the race, we're hoping to have better dialogue with, especially with our police department, especially after-hours situations, and this, you know, as our area grows.
About some of the things, I mean, that is one of the key things, is to improve the hours and accessibility for both the police departments and for the citizens.
Yeah, just to make things flow better and go easier for everybody, and if there is someone arrested at 3 o'clock in the morning or a warrant's needed, yeah, we should go move
One of
forward.
the first things we would do with the commissioner's approval is change the hours, that's for sure. We live in 2021, and only being open 8 to 4:30 is not, Monday through Friday is not conducive to today's world.
Well, we wish you and all the candidates luck.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak tonight? Yes, please come up. And if you don't mind, state your name and address for the record. We appreciate you coming.
My name is Tom Goes. I live at 608 Brandy Way. I've been a resident of Union Township for 30 years. I'm a 42-year experienced commercial contractor, and what I wanted to bring up is rental property. Brandy Way has its first rental property on it, And I was born and raised in Bellevue, Kentucky, bought my first house when I was 22. Remodeled it, gutted it, and I was surrounded by World War II vets, Korean War vets, super people, took care of their property, but I was too dumb to see what was happening. Those vets were dying, their kids were putting them in nursing homes, and rental property was popping up in Bellevue. We had a murder for the first time since I think it was Prohibition down the street from me. I had my truck broken into, and some rental property, the mother was never around. The kids turned into the American Sniper, shooting out windows. So a good buddy of mine is the mayor of Newport, a guy named Jerry Peluso, and he's really turned that around. And he requires a license for rental property in, say, a residential area. Because it's a fact, if you own rental property, you want to make the biggest return on your investment with minimal repairs. The house on our street, it sticks out like a sore thumb. The neighbors would say, well, the people that are there are very nice, but they may cut their grass once a month. So I'm just suggesting, when it comes to rental property and that, the township really starts putting the ear and watching what's going on. The second thing, Brandy Way is a great, quiet little street. We've got signs all over it that says no parking anytime. And as Matt, I think, will attest, and all the paving contractors I've ever worked for, we do not have any curb and gutters. When you park on asphalt without that bookends, the asphalt breaks away, you get water in it, it freezes, and your roads deteriorate. But yet, the police are not allowed to ticket unless somebody calls them. I mean, that's pretty strong wording when a sign says no parking anytime. Why do we need to call? I mean, take the shackles off the poor policemen. They're great cops.
I'm not sure who advised you of that, sir. I certainly haven't.
Okay. Well,
If
then,
you've heard from other officers, so be it, but I'm here to tell you, I haven't advised you of that. If there's a
I was-
violation, we'll take care of it.
yeah, well, there was a sign between my property and another. It got removed.
Okay?
Okay? I called, it got replaced. It got removed again because of somebody knew somebody in the township.
Why don't you hang out for me after the meeting, and you and I
Okay.
can get to the bare bones of this.
But
okay?
apparently you must have those signs up within 400 feet of each other for that to be enforced. But I had a neighbor's boyfriend spending the night. Now, my wife is a runner. Brandy Way is right up against Beechwood, and you don't want to walk on Beechwood. So people walk their dogs all times of night. And if there's cars parked on it illegally, you have to walk onto oncoming traffic, and Brandy Way's not used to a lot of traffic you can get run into. So I would just like to turn the police loose. If it says no parking anytime, ticket them if they're there at night. But that's,
Hang out for me after the meeting.
sure,
More happy to talk.
sure, I'd be glad.
Great.
Okay,
sir.
thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments about the rental homes also. I've heard that comment, not just from you, from other people, and certainly it's something, but just to clarify, your friend in Newport is in a different state, and it's also a city. They have different powers that we don't have.
But it's the same issue.
Right, but
I mean, I've been.
well, we
around
can't
long enough.
enact laws like he might enact, so, just so you know that.
But you let Norwood goes downhill, Corryville, Oakley, Madisonville, they all go downhill, and then you gotta turn around, put TIF in it to bring it on back. So it's a constant, vicious cycle instead of tackling it at the very beginning. No different than the weeds on people's property.
Correct. I agree. Thank you. So good comments. Anyone else would like to speak tonight? Okay. Seeing there's no one else tonight, we'll move on to some Upcoming events, just want to make sure everyone's aware of. The Board of Trustees, next meeting will be October 14th, 2021. So there will not be a meeting on September 23rd. That was canceled. Meeting room reservations and gym reservations are now available. Check with the website for more information. Our Union Township concert series winding down, but we do have the Sycamore Community Band this coming Saturday at 7 p.m. A lot of the concerts start at 8, but this band will be starting at 7, so a little bit earlier at the amphitheater behind the Civic Center here. If you've never seen the Sycamore Community Band, they're very good. It's a very enjoyable concert, and September 11th is certainly a good day to be having that concert as we remember all the events of September 11th. The Union Township Lantern Lighting event is also coming up Saturday, September 18th. This is at Mount Moriah Cemetery. It's from 5 to 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. And the Union Township End of Summer Celebration, it's a fireworks extravaganza. That will be on September 25th. Fireworks are 8:30, but there's events all day long, including a Touch a Truck event earlier in the day. Crossroads Church and Jungle Gyms will be having events, as well as a lot of the restaurants and shops down there will be doing different things. RJ's new plaza and outdoor area is just about completed, so they're planning to have some events also. So September 25th, make sure you check it out. Is there any other events that we might have missed coming up?
I know of.
Make sure we got everything covered? All right. Gentlemen, we're being asked to enter into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22, Section G, to consider confidential information related to the specific business strategy of an applicant for economic development assistance pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22, Section G8. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved, sir.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Love,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw.
Yes.
Motion carries. We're in executive session at 7:53.
Thank you very much. As soon as we're done, we'll be back to conclude our meeting. For those who are leaving, we appreciate you coming tonight and being part of the meeting. I ask for a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved?
Second?
Roll call, Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw.
Yes.
We are out of executive session at 9:01 PM.
All right, at this time, there'll be no action, further action tonight taken on the results of the executive session. Is there any other business before this board tonight? All right. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting then.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw.
Yes.
We are adjourned at 9:02 PM.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate everyone who's viewed the meeting and was at the meeting and will view it in the future. Thank you.